So we believe that the right way to go is stay a pure strategy company, because for the hybrid strategy, you are kind of caught in the middle between both worlds, and we believe that for cheap flight and our future, it would be better to align our resources and concentrate on either of these two. On top of that, we would have to have two completely different organizational cultures, introduce different incentives for the two different parts, and therefore we want to stay efficient and avoid inconsistencies, and therefore we believe that our future lies within the pure strategy, because we have to focus all our resources on one of the aspects, not be a mixture of these two. Just on a sidebar, Lufthansa, United Airlines, and BA have actually tried to introduce a low-cost aspect to their premium offerings. However, they have abandoned it because they also came to the conclusion that the pure strategy is more effective for an airline. So now that leads us to our second choice today. Are we actually going to be able to achieve the changes Daniel measured by staying low cost, or will we have to go premium? I will walk you through benefits and costs of these two, starting with turning into a premium company. We could invest more in processes, especially security processes. That, for example, El Al has a decompression chamber where they send all luggage through to test them for bombs on different pressures. We could invest more in training of the staff, specifically to recognize threats on the ground as well as in air specifically. That leads to very high security standards for the passengers. Also, since we would be able to charge a higher price, we could invest more in the process I talked before, but also give a pay rise to our employees. The disadvantage of these, however, that we believe that it might lead to process redundancies, and on top of that, many inconveniences for the passengers. At El Al, the passengers have to go through 4 hours of security checks before boarding the airline. And since we are focusing on holiday destinations, and people are they want to go on holidays, they might switch to other carriers because they don't want the whole inconveniences in the security. What that means for the employees, basically now we have the training focused on the organization, and employees are more autonomous and flexible. While if we introduce the premium, training would be focused just on the technical skills, so employees will have no flexibilities anymore. It might lead to unhappiness of employees, and they will just basically, our employees will end up more of management tool rather than being actual part of the company's resources. So just to all this would lead to a complete change of our business model. We would have to adopt complete changes in management style, and also we would have to rebrand our whole name, because after all, we're called Cheap Flight, and that's it. Yeah. For example, Royal Mail actually tried to rebrand their name, and after 1 year and spending 3.5 million, they actually came to the conclusion that it's better to go to their old name. So yeah, also this is everything very expensive. Moving on to staying a low-cost airline. We would have fewer investments in security processes that would enable us to pay higher dividends to our shareholders. Also, our staff is actually from across Europe and Cheap Flight are actually familiar with the processes of a low-cost airline. So we would not require the very technical training. It also means less inconvenience for our passengers, little inconvenience, little fast and easy procedures. Also, since we have a very stable reputation as a low-cost airline, we could build on that in the future. And if we look at the current airline industry, low cost becomes more and more profitable. Yes, but there are also costs to this. We might develop inefficiencies because of less investment into processes. And since we are actually flying to riskier destinations, if customers don't see this improvement in security, they might actually prefer to switch to other competitors. Yeah. And just to summarize, we think that, premium has obviously great advantages. However, we think that the chance of success plus the really high risks with the rebranding would not make it the optimal choice for us. While if we stay as low cost, we have a very solid reputation, and we really think that we can push this further and really build on it in the future. So just to see, we have come a long way. We have chosen the pure strategy and decided to remain low cost. However, now comes the actual action. I will pass on to Hugh, who is going to talk to you how we are actually going to implement the changes of formalization of processes.
Thank you, Laura. So, as said by Laura, there are actually costs to implementing to be a low-cost airline. Sorry, as in terms of security. So just to summarise, so we're going to develop more efficiencies as we grow. We're also going to be more vulnerable to terrorist attacks because of the increased risk in the country we fly to, but also because we're incorporating new staff which is not currently able to work the way we work at Cheapfly. The third risk is that we may risk alienating the workforce that we have, and we want to make sure that we don't compromise the values that Cheapfly workers currently enjoy at working for us. All of this, now we know that we think that it is better for the firm to do this as from a low-cost option, which means that we wouldn't benefit from the higher margins from becoming a premium carrier to implement our action plan. So if we have a look at our action plan, I'm just going to quickly detail the outline of it. So the first step is going to be to formalize our processes. We're going to have to improve them through process improvement methodologies and extra training. Another point that we want to make is performance management tools. We would like also to appoint a chief security officer. And the last point, we want to empower our staff so that they feel that they actually own the processes that they manage. Okay, so we said that we have to formalize the processes. At the moment, we have very informal procedures, which work really fine at the moment because we're small, we can benefit from trust. But when we grow, this is no longer possible, and we are very exposed to a controls crisis. So we need to be able, us as management, to know what our staff is doing. Our staff has to be acting in a very consistent way. Okay, so this, how do you actually do this? How do you formalize your processes? For any big company, this looks very basic, very normal. Every big company has seen this. For a small company, however, they don't really need this. This is a process map, and it's basically just showing what is the way that a process should be done. So as a small company, we haven't got this at the moment, but what we need to develop now is processes map for every single of our security processes. So we put one as an example. It's just to show that basically there is a one-way, standardized way to perform a process. Having a formalized process is really good. It's really good but if the process is inefficient, how can we actually sustain our profitability? So we need to remove our inefficiencies, and this is where the lean approach comes in. Lean focuses on the elimination of waste. It identifies all the activities that actually add value, and aims to remove all the ones that are non-essential and don't actually create any value for the firm. And the staff constantly thinks about the flow and tries to see which activities don't add value and see how we can remove them. So for example, we've mentioned with a merger with Cross-Europe Airlines, we may have redundancies. With Cross-Europe Airlines already doing something, why do we need to do it twice? Simple as that. We mentioned also in terms of a higher exposure to an actual security breach. And another process improvement methodology methodology is useful here. It's Six Sigma. Six Sigma is a very specific data management, data operations management method which seeks to eliminate any defect. In our case, the defect is a terrorist going on board and blowing up a plane. So we need to reduce, and in our case completely eliminate and eradicate all chances of this happening. The Six Sigma approaches uses data and statistics which enable to see us through all the processes where we're actually underperforming in our ability to perform the process in the right way. And then we can, when we identify this, we can by having identified it, we can find ways to how we can actually improve this process and then control the changes that we've implemented. The big advantage of Six Sigma is that it's fact-based. It's based on hard statistics, objective data. And here we have a problem with the arrival of a new workforce, and by changing the way we work, our staff is going to be a bit reluctant to change the processes. So through objective data, we can actually convince staff. Daniel mentioned Parexel before, and the director of Parexel told us about how useful it had been for him to use data to convince staff how necessary this was to improve new processes. Yeah. So this takes me a bit to the next idea about business analytics. We need business analytics to guide our day-to-day operations. We need to use data analytics, not just business analytics, not just as a way to get information about what we're doing. This information has to tell us what we should do in the future, what we should improve. So this is going to involve a bit of modeling, a bit of simulation techniques. And in terms of training, of course, it means that we have to teach staff how to do this. A few of them will have to learn how to actually build the model. But for the majority, the important bit is that actually they just know how to interpret the results of a simulation. So many organizations are actually having this problem. They have actually no idea of how to interpret the results from the Six Sigma, where they see many results, they see many numbers, but they don't know what they actually mean. So they don't know how to interpret them, so they don't know how to improve the process. So for us, the focus is really to give employees this ability to understand and grasp really the essence and the relevance of the process. Okay. This is really good if staff knows what they actually have to do. So at the moment, we're a very small company, and the staff knows that we have to provide good security, efficient security, with a minimal fuss for our passengers. However, we're now expanding, and we don't really know if our new staff, and there have actually been concerns expressed by Cheapfly staff, we don't know if the new guys working for Cheapfly, if they do know what we really want. So how can we make them know what they do, what they have to do? If we... Oh, that's what the wrong slide, sorry. Can you go to the next one? Sorry. So they need to use performance management tools. Sorry. Where was I? Yeah. Okay. So they need to use. They need to know what they have to do. Sorry. How do you do this? You give them measurements and indicators. You give, as manager, we know what we want our employees to do. Employees don't know what they have to do. So what do? We tell them what we want them to do. But we have to make sure that those objectives that we give them are completely aligned with the goals of the company, which is, as I said before, providing good security with minimal fuss for passengers. If we emphasize too much on one metric, for example, cost efficient, well, we may have basically all the staff trying to diminish costs as much as possible, but disregarding completely the quality of the security. So we must make sure that those performance management tools are really aligned with the vision of the company. Otherwise, we're just not going to be able to tell employees what they have to do when they go through Six Sigma, when they try to improve the processes of the company. And if you can go back to the slide from before. So now, if we look at all these things, and if we had actual staff from Cheapfly, in this audience, they'd be wondering, these things are completely not what we want. These things are just taking us away from what we enjoy at Chief Flight. Standardized processes, using information IT, business analytics, they will be losing all the autonomy, all the discretion about what they want to do, about how to do their job. This is actually not what the approach is. The approach is, and we call it a compromise, but it's really the essence of those process improvement methodology. This is really what we're trying to do. It's not going to come from the top of a company. The changes are driven by the actual staff. So it is the staff that is going to identify how to do the process, and constantly, so they own the process, and they're able to constantly think about how they're going to improve the process. We're thinking about creating learning groups, in which there'd be, you can think about like maybe the Toyota system, where they really always encourage to think about what they do, how they can improve. And here they feel like they really own the process, and they do drive the process change. So maybe they don't actually have the ability to do what they want on the day, but they still have this kind of autonomy, this kind of power to decide what they want to do and how they want to do it. 2 slides. Another one. Oh, yeah, okay. It is also very important that we appoint a Chief Security Officer. Organizations have a tendency in the airline industry to forget about the importance of security. After 9/11, security goes up, but it's when security goes down that we're actually most vulnerable. Chief Security Officer is going to be someone whose responsibility is going to be solely to always make sure that every single employee is reminded about the importance